guys, welcome to the presentation of Group 6. Now we will present about Chapter 5 straight in English. You are 5 members in my group, Binh Nhi, Hải Nhi, Đinh Nhi, Kiều Anh and me. My name is Nhung, I'm a leader of Group 6. Now let's get started. First, what is stress? As you know, stress is the degree of force with a syllable or a word uterus. It is also defined as the degree of prominence a syllable has. Words with more than one syllable have a stressed syllable in their first syllable is prominent. In comedy and recommend second syllable is stressed. The second, what is word stress? In English, we do not say a syllable with the same force or strength. In one word, we accentuate one syllable. We say one syllable very loudly, big, strong, important, and on the other syllable very quietly. Now we will watch 3 levels of syllable stress in English.
Take a closer look at the 3 levels of stress in English. We'll start with primary stress. Primary stress is the loudest and longest syllable in a word with a very noticeable change in pitch on the vowel. In one-syllable words, that one syllable has the primary stress. Blue or 10. It's the only syllable in the word, so of course it receives the primary stress. That makes sense. The vowel is louder and longer, and there's an obvious change in pitch. Listen for that change in pitch. Blue. 10. 10. Even when I speed it up, that change in pitch is obvious. The only exceptions to this rule of a one-syllable word receiving the primary stress are a handful of function words like the, which are usually unstressed or reduced. We rush through them. We'll talk more about those commonly reduced or rushed words in another lesson. The second level of stress is secondary stress. These are the syllables which are stressed, but not as much as the primary stress. So they are loud and long with a change in pitch, but not as loud or as long as the syllables that get the primary stress. And the change in pitch on the vowel is not quite as noticeable. An example of secondary stress would be the first syllable in this word, disappear. We do spend some time on this syllable and we do make the vowel louder and longer, but not quite as much as we do on this last syllable, the third syllable, peer. If both of these syllables received primary stress, which can happen, it happens in certain words, but here it doesn't. If both of these syllables received primary stress, it would sound like this: disappear, disappear, disappear. But because we don't spend quite as much time on the disappear, we categorize that as secondary stress. And if you notice this middle syllable, we just rush through as quickly as we can. Disappear. We get right to that third syllable that receives the primary stress. The third level of stress is the unstressed syllable. These are the syllables that have no stress at all, so we rush through them and shorten the vowel until it's almost completely gone. I often tell my students to just cut the vowel, pretend like it's not there at all, even though it is there, but that the idea of cutting the vowel seems to work. When people are used to giving equal stress to every syllable, which is the timing pattern of a lot of other languages, getting people to learn to cut that vowel in the unstressed syllable can really help with the rhythm overall. So the change in pitch on this vowel is there, but it's barely noticeable. Let's take a look at some examples. The first syllable of the word prepare is the unstressed syllable. We cut the vowel, we rush through it as quickly as we can, even though the letter E is in the word as far as spelling. Because this syllable is completely unstressed, we cut the vowel and use what's called the unstressed vowel, or the schwa, which again, we'll learn more about that in another lesson. For now, just imitate pr and get through it as quickly as you can so that you can get to the second syllable that gets all the stress and all the vowel and all the change in pitch. Prepare. Prepare. Unstressed syllables are often very confusing as far as spelling. It doesn't matter what vowel letter you see. Most of the time, that letter will be representing the unstressed vowel or the schwa or the sound. Same thing happens with the word yoga. The second syllable is unstressed. We replace the letter A with the unstressed vowel, the sound, and we get away from that syllable as quickly as we can. Yoga. yoga.
Hello, my name is Me. I'm from Group 6. I will talk about 5 points to work stress placement. In work stress, it's very difficult to predict since there are so many exceptions. It's better to treat stress placement as a property of the individual works to be learned when the work itself is learned. Nevertheless, stress placement of English word follow a general principle that is the primary stress in the words tend to fall on the final syllable, the second last syllable, or the third last syllable of the words. The following are some common rules that help to indicate stress pattern in English words. It's either, however, note that there are quite a few exceptions to these rules. 5.2.1 Stress pattern on simple work and derivative works. A single word form, either simple or derivative form, may have the primary stress on the initial syllable, the middle syllable, or the final syllable, depending on which word class is is and which component is combined with. At this point, you might be thinking, are there any rules about word stress? How do I know that the word stress is if I don't have a dictionary? It's about words with 2 syllables. Look at 5 words: happy, believe, reason, water, increase. All these words have 2 syllables. In all words, the stress is on the first syllable. Their words are noun and adjective. In most 2 syllable noun and adjective, the primary stress falls on the first syllable. Let's practice saying the words together: happy, believe, reason, water, increase. What about verb? The stress of 2 syllable verb is on the second syllable. Let's practice saying the words together: decide, decline, begin, report, return. This rule is always true for verbs ending in ate, as grist, donate, release, virus. So most noun and adjective with 2 syllables have the stress on the first syllable, and most verbs have the stress on the second syllable. Stress in longer work. There are some other rules which can help you to find the stress in longer work. If the word ends CION, SION, ICE, CIAN, then the stress is always on the second last syllable. Economic, decision, political. If a word ends with the letter Y, CY, TY, PSY, ZY, ATE, and has 3 or more syllables, then the stress is 2 syllables before the last one. For example, technology, photography, activity, democracy, chemistry. The rule is true for all polysyllable verbs and adjectives ending in ate, such as graduate, communicate. Many suffixes of Latin, Greek, and French take the primary stress on themselves. Therefore, the words that have the following ending T, typically takes the ultimate stress. AIN, entertain, ascertain. EER, volunteer, marketeer. EDDE, kitchenist, bloggist. IQUE, ESQUE, zoomist, technist, EE, refugee, pay, OON, balance, cartoon.
Typical an English compound word has to pass two different words combined together, and the identification of primary stress can be based on its morphological structures. Main stress on the first part. For compound nouns, the first part is heavily stressed if their structure are as follows. Noun plus noun. Armchair. Waterfront. Noun plus verbing. Bird watching. Film making. Verbing plus noun. Sitting room. Melting point. Verb plus noun. Google box. Pickpockets. For compound adjectives, their combination have the primary stress on the first component. Compound adjectives usually written as one word. Airtight, carefree, pricey, worry. Noun plus informed, time consuming, fee paying. Noun plus past participle, peer shape, health relate. Main stress on the second part. For compound nouns, the second part is primarily stressed in the pattern. Adjective plus noun. Deep state. Faithful. Central bank. Adjective plus verbing. Global warming. Central heating. Soft landing. Past particle plus noun. Loose property. Controller election. Inverted matrix. Noun plus adjective. Fast, free. Snow white. Adjective noun. Long term. Full length. Adverb or adjective past participle. Fully grown. Long-sighted. Adverb or adjective plus informed. Easy going. Hard working.
Hello everyone, my name is Winty Binyi and I will talk about primary, strong form and weak form. As we do know, in English, some words can be pronounced in two ways, known as weak form and strong form. Most words with both weak and strong form belong to a category known as grammatical words and function words such as auxiliary, preposition, conjunction. And now let's find out why there is a weak form and a strong form. You need to watch the following video to understand this question clearly, and that's why there is a weak form.
Now, why do we have weak forms? Now, weak forms occur in English because content words are stressed. And content words are words that carry information, and they are important. We need to know the information, so we stress those words. And those words are usually nouns, verbs, adjectives, also negative auxiliaries, and also a range of other words. On the other hand, we have grammatical words, and they are usually not stressed in English. Grammatical words are articles, prepositions, linking words, positive auxiliaries, and many other words. And those help us to form sentences, they're grammatically correct, but they do not carry the most important information, and they are not stressed in English usually. Now, why does this happen? And this happens because English is classified as a stress-timed language. And that means that we stress content words, and from one stress to the next, we want to keep the same time. And now there might be quite a lot of grammatical words in between that we don't stress, but if we always want to keep the same time from one stress to the next, well, we have to hurry up and say those words a little bit quicker. There are some languages that are very different. They are syllable timed. If you want to find out more about this topic, watch my video on syllable versus stress-timed languages. I go into a lot more detail there. But this is really why some words are unstressed and why they need to be said quicker and why we have weak forms in English. So really, for those words, we have two pronunciations, the full form and the weak form. And the weak form usually contains the schwa or another short vowel sound, so they have vowel reduction. Now, remember, it's really important to learn both of those because otherwise you won't be able to recognize weak forms in a sentence. And this is also why sometimes listening to someone speak in English can be quite challenging and difficult.
Next, we need to find out how the weak form is commonly used. Weak pronunciation elements are often used in normal communication, especially when speaking quickly. Besides, weak forms include personal pronouns, indefinite pronouns, either as the object, preposition, conjunction, or auxiliary areas, modal determiner, my, his, her, article, some, any, each other, one another, they, to introduce a sentences. Example, I'm staying at my parents' home, and he is from America. On the other hand, we need to find out how the strong form is commonly used. Strong form is used as follow the first. When it is a C and herb and uterine. Example, where are you from? The second, when it shows a contrast. Example, is it for him, not for her. The next, when it's seated correct. Example, you should put an herb the sentences. And finally, when it's used for the purpose of emphasis. Example, he must finish the assignment on time. And now let's look at the following table illustrates how function words may be pronounced in the weak and strong form. This is table determiner quantifier. This is table about pronouns. This is table about preposition. This is table about conjunctions. And this is about auxiliaries.
Hi, I'm Kyoan. Let's go to the final part of this chapter, sentence stress. Sentence stress is promise of one or more words in the sentence when they are stressed to pronouns and the rest are unstressed. is considered rhythm and beat in English. Now we have some rules for stress in sentence. The first, content words are stressed such as nouns, verbs, adjectives, adjectives, negative words, or question words. And structural words are unstressed such as pronouns, preposition, article, linking words, auxiliary, or tuber. The last, the time between stressed words is always the same. Example, Jim cooked dinner for his family. Or sit down and open your books. It means the duration of time from stress was 1 to stress was 2 is the same as that from 2 to 3 in sentence. This is 4 types of stress: tonic stress, emphatic stress, contrastive stress, and new information stress. The first is tonic stress. It refers to words which contains the main information in the sentence. There are more than one tonic stress in a sentence. The last tonic stress in the sentence is the main stress. Example, he's learning English with his friends in a coffee hall. The stress words here are the main words that contain the meaning of the stress. If we do not hear his English with it or in a clearly, we can still deduce the content of the sentence. But if we lose learning, friends, coffee house, we will not understand the speaker's meaning. And the word coffee house is the main stress. The second is emphatic stress. It shows how extraordinary something is. In other words, this emphasis calls attention to the extraordinary nature of what you want to emphasize. Example, she is very hungry. Hungry is the standard stress, but the word very is emphasize how hungry she is. There are a number of adverbs and modifiers which tend to be used to emphasize in sentences that receive emphatic stress. Very, extremely, terribly, completely, entirely, and especially. Contrastive stress changes meaning of a sentence by changing stress from these words to others. It's also used to emphasize the difference between two stressed words. Example, he will drive to school tomorrow. The word he is most prominent, which means it is he, not her, or somebody else drive to school tomorrow. The word will is emphasized means it is defined that he will do this action. The emphasized noun is drive to mean that he will drive, not cycle or walk to school. Similarly, the pronoun is school to emphasize that he will drive to school, not any place. The last, tomorrow is the most stressed to focus on the specific time. Last but not least, new information stress. When asked and answer a question, the requested information is naturally stressed more strongly, and in a conversation, the new information is stressed. Now is a short conversation between two people. Where are you now? I'm in supermarket. Who go with you? I'm here with my mom. The first answer stress supermarkets to provide information to the questioner. But in the second answer, mom is new information, so it's stress. The word here is known before, so it's unstressed. After this part, we have some conclusion. That's all of the presentation of Group 6. On behalf of Nhung, Linh Nhi, Bình Nhi, and Hải Nhi, me, Kiều Anh, thanks for your watching. Hope you study English well. Goodbye.